The Portal Podcast Top 100 recruiting list continues 41 to 60. Let's go.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Portal Podcast for this update on the Portal Podcast 2027 Top 100 recruits, numbers 41 through 60. We're also going to be talking about recruiting and how you keep your roster together, something that's not talked about enough. Recruiting retention a little bit later on in the podcast. We're going to have some fun with that. But let's dive in to the top prospect list. Again, tonight, 41 to 60, and then we will continue on throughout the week. All right, numbers 56 through 60 tonight. KJ Green starts it off at number 60. This is a defensive end that I had a chance to see last summer at Rivals 5-star. I've seen him run around a lot of guys on film, make him look really bad. He plays at Stevenson High School on the edge of Atlanta. He's got prospect or elite prospect upside written all over him, and his SEC offer list kind of shows it too. He can pretty much go wherever he wants. Every school in the country is basically offered KJ. 6'4", 220, athletic, twitchy, understands leverage. He will counter from those traditional speed rush moves where he just dips and rips, and he'll come back inside. And he's got some pretty good length. He can one-arm stab. Really good football player. Ahmad Hudson, this is one of the more insanely gifted guys in the class. Tight end out of Ruston, Louisiana. He's committed to LSU. No shock. Some have him as the number one tight end in the country. I've got him like number 2. Bottom line, though, he's 6'5", 6'6", really special football player when the ball's in the air and it's a contested catch. His high school at Ruston, they use him as much like a receiver as they do a tight end, which I think is today's game anyway. And I like that. And it'll probably help him once he transitions to play for Wayne in Baton Rouge. They're going to spread the football around in a different way at that program than just about anybody else. Wayne is a very good game planner with X's and O's. I'm curious to see what Hudson will do. Is it going to be just slot that he kind of extends to? Are they going to use him at boundary? They're going to use him at flanker. He's one of those unusually gifted tight ends. You may see screens. You may see reverses. You can see all kinds of things. Hudson is very, very talented. Kennedy Brown, he would be ranked way higher if it hadn't been for several injuries he's had over the last couple of years, just kind of knickknacks. And then he had a Liz Frank injury this offseason. What is that? Well, Kennedy's a great kid, and he's from the edge of Houston. Liz Frank is probably the most awkward foot injury that you can have. It's not that it's like horrible, but it's a broken bone in your foot. It's a couple ways to let it heal. Most people will get the surgery. It's a little longer, but it's more secure. Not to have it rehappen, like that's awkward to go through training and all that, and then you get into the season, you get hurt again. He was riding around one of those little scooters this past January at the Under Armour game. It's unfortunate he didn't get to play. Great kid, great player. ESPN at one point had him as the number 1 player in the country for the class of 27. If he gets healthy and has a great year, he's a top 30 prospect. I don't know if he's going to play guard. I don't know if he's going to play tackle. I think he can play either, but he's got to stay healthy. He's missed about half his high school career. That's really the only thing holding him back, and A&M absolutely got a good one. Jackson Vaughn, this is a reclass. He's at Bergen Catholic out in the state of Jersey. Absolutely unequivocally shot out of a cannon, pure edge rusher, speed guy, can do all the things that you think of when you think old school pass rusher. You know what I'm going to come up here on the line of scrimmage and do on 3rd and 8? Now try and stop me. He's going to try to get low. He's going to try to go around the edge and just bend it. Make offensive tackles, use bad leverage, use bad steps, guess, get out over their toes. And then every now and then you counter with the spin move. It's not just dip and rip again. You've got to be able to come up with different things. Stab, bull rush, club, rip. Doesn't matter what it is. He's capable of doing those things. Now I need to see that bag expand. Like, I haven't seen all those on film, but his physical traits, the stop and start, the ability to change directions, to run down a running back, Jackson Vaughn is a very unique kid. I don't care that he's supposed to be class of 28. Really doesn't make any difference. I think he's a top 25 prospect if he was class of 28. There's more kids a little older in this group, so I get it that he's not ranked quite as high. But this is a player that could end up being a 5-star if he has a great season this year for Bergen. We'll see what happens. A lot of A lot of schools coming after him, even though he's reclassed. Next up is Kellen Weimer. I probably got him higher than about anybody in the country. He's out of Liberty Center High School in the state of Ohio. He's committed to the Buckeyes. Not really shocking there. I don't care if he plays guard or tackle. I can see him playing either. We'll see where he ends up. If I had to guess, it's tackle, probably left for Ohio State. But I know this is not a fair comparison, but he's got a little Zach Martin in his game. Former Notre Dame player, went to play for the Cowboys, that retired recently. He could have played tackle in the NFL, but he played guard. Now he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying Weimer is going to take that exact path, but his frame, where he's at this point in his career, reminds me similar. Really good in space, especially screen game or getting outside and getting an extra block, climbing to the second level. All of those things are things that Weimer does and does very well. By the way, Ohio State's O-line class this year, they're not playing around. They've done a really good job. Next up on this list, and this is not going to really change. You're going to see the traditional names here. Lathan Whisenton, running back out of Midway High School in Waco, Texas. He's committed to Notre Dame. Straightforward, downhill, power, yards after contact. All of those apply to Whisenton, but he also has really good speed. He's a 10-6 kid. This is the kind of guy that if he went to an Oklahoma State or an Iowa State, etc., he would probably start as a freshman. There's a really good chance of he's that kind of talent. I think he's underrated by some of the other services. A little surprised. He only lives about an hour or so from Dallas. But again, power. When you combine his penchant for contact and then combine that with just no doubt about it speed, he's playing against Texas players. Whisenton is one of those players that I think is absolutely, unequivocally underrated. Now, Notre Dame's depth chart is legit at every spot, but he's eventually going to tote the rock for Notre Dame, and I would not be surprised at all if he ends up like their next Jabarrius Price, because he had power, he had insane speed, but it's a similar kind of deal. This is a young man that can break a lot of tackles. I'm curious to see what he does his senior year. I bet he puts up some monster numbers. 54, Amari Fountain. He's finally kind of got his due. He's from Warner Robins, Georgia, plays at Northside High School. He is a Florida Gator commitment. If you're looking for the definition of modern corner, Amari Fountain is that guy. At least 6'2". He's listed at 6'3", but his film is fantastic. When I first saw it, he was ranked a 3-star, and I'm like, wait a minute. A 3-star prospect? You got to be kidding me. He's at Northside. That's a good program. They've always had players. And he eventually started moving up the ranks in some of these different ranking systems around the country. But I think he's a top 100 guy. You can't teach the length. You can't teach the change of direction for a kid with that size. And he's playing in South Central Georgia. That area is just so loaded with talent. He sees it every day. That's going to help him acclimate to the SEC and playing in the swamp for the Florida Gators. Next up, Elijah Haven. A lot of people are probably not happy with me that are Alabama fans, but hear me out. He's ranked number 1, I think, by 24/7 overall or whatever. Plays at the Dunham School in Baton Rouge. Definitely a natural passer. I've seen him a few times. But the thing that I don't like is he plays poor competition in high school. It's just really hard to grade him. But he did have 62 passing touchdowns last year. Yes, I said that. That's insane. He's a pretty good runner. He's got the frame that you're looking for. I would just like to see him play against better competition. I don't think it's fair for me to rank him higher because the competition he plays is not like what they play at Duncanville or St. Thomas Aquinas, etc. But the traits are there, and Alabama is a great fit in terms of schematics, style of offense. He could end up being that guy. We'll see where he goes in terms of the upside, but Alabama is a great fit for Elijah Haven. Myson Johnson Cook, running back out of East St. Louis. I don't know why, but he's committed to Auburn. I didn't put it on the page here for those of you on YouTube, but he is committed to the Tigers. This is the definition of early 1980s when they had that just insane run of big running backs. This is another one. George Rogers, obviously Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson, etc. This is another one of those kinds of backs. He's 230 plus. He's originally from the greater Dallas area, ended up in East St. Louis, and now he's going to take his talents to the Plains. Not a guy you want to get in front of. He is a truck. He runs over guys that it doesn't even look like he's trying. Curious to see how Auburn utilizes him in that downhill scheme they have. He will be a good fit. Jabarrius Garror, we call him Chicken. Yes, I said Chicken. He's at Viger High School in Mobile, Alabama, not that far from me. Absolutely shot out of a cannon. State defensive player as a sophomore and as a junior. Great kid, quiet, just kind of goes about his business. Originally committed to Bama. Watch out for Texas A&M. Watch out for a bunch of schools. Florida State, they're all kind of coming in. I don't think Bama's really involved anymore. It was an NIL dispute. Fair enough. He'll end up somewhere else, but there are no shortage of opportunities. LSU, you name it. Everybody's sniffing around, and he is one of the best pass rushers in the class of 2027, no doubt about it. When we come back, we're going to continue on with the Portal Podcast 2027 Top 100 Countdown right here. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Rocket Money. If you've ever opened up your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You are not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming and fast. That is where Rocket Money comes into play, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It will track your subscriptions in one place and allow you to cancel all the subscriptions that you don't need and that you're wasting money on. Get those out of your life, and it's only going to take you a few taps to do it. It'll automatically categorize your spending so you can actually see your money and where it's going, and Rocket Money can also help set up your budget. You can get alerts. You can stop all those stupid bills that you don't need, and the ones that you do, you know when they are to time everything out so you understand the flow of the money coming in and out of your account. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal financial app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you still need to fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people that you need. Skills, experience, and location so you get the right person right there when you need it and not just waiting around for your job post to get it done. And here's the stat that says it all. In roughly the minute that I'll be speaking with you, 27 hires will be made by companies like yours, according to Indeed data around the world. Spend less time searching and more time getting the right people that you need with less stress, less time, and more results. And listening to this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit over at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On the Portal. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Make sure that you check out the Everydayer Club down below in the description. It is an opportunity for you to get your pods on the go with no ads. Check out the Everydayer Club. It will explain more. The Everydayer Club. All right, let's continue on with our list. And then after we get done here, a little recruiting info and some retention opportunities to talk about. This is something that needs to be discussed more, not just by me, but everybody in the industry. It's one thing to sign players. It is quite another to go out there and get them to stay. All right, number 50, Xavier Sabb, wide receiver out of Glassboro, New Jersey. Straightforward. I didn't know when I originally saw this kid play on film. Was he going to end up at DB? Was he going to be a receiver? How was it going to go? His brother's at Alabama, originally signed with Michigan. Really good defensive back for the Tide. This kid can go about anywhere he wants. A lot of schools have been after him. He could really run, change direction. He's that long, athletic kid that everybody wants. I don't think there's any way to go wrong with it. I still wonder if he could end up at DB. I know receiver is the preference, but it wouldn't shock me. Really good football player. Number 49, Gunnar Rivers, Philip Rivers' kid. St. Michael's Catholic down in the Mobile area. He's committed to NC State, same school that his father attended. Big pocket quarterback, but he can move too. Now, his dad can move a little bit here and there, but I think Gunnar is the better of the two athletes at the same stage. Not saying he's going to be Philip as a passer or somebody that can deliberate and understand everything that he needs to in the offense and get it out to his playmakers and get the play in and change it, the line calls and shifts and all that, call the mic. All that I need to see against big-time competition, but he's been successful so far, and I really like how he throws the ball in the run. Again, not a true dual threat, but Gunnar Rivers can move enough that he's annoying, he'll go get you 5-8 yards, something like that. Those are the kinds of quarterbacks in modern day football that more people want. They don't take as many hits. They avoid them. They at least get the ball out, even if it's just a throwaway. Avoid the sack, avoid the punishment, go on to play the next down, and live, if you will, a little bit safer instead of just being a pocket quarterback. Here's the other thing about him. His body took a step forward this past season. You could tell there was more strength, the ability to throw from different angles. I think Gunnar is going to be really, really good. He might start at NC State before his freshman year is over. David Gabriel Georges, Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is a recruiting war, and I've said this before on many podcasts, this one included, might be the most difficult to project where he's going. Ohio State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia are the expected Final Four, barring something unforeseen. They'll all get OBs. He's a powerhouse player. He's a lot like Myson Johnson-Cook, not quite as big, but he is as physically put together as you're going to see, 220 pounds, give or take. But he's from Canada. And if I'm remembering correctly, his first language is not even English. The culture and all that, he understands American football, obviously, because he's here. But Myson Johnson-Cook, that's a kid that grew up in Texas and moved to Illinois. Like, it's natural. It's easier to kind of follow his recruitment. Do we really know where David Gabriel Georges is going? Probably not. But he could be an instant impact guy into Tennessee or an Ole Miss. Like, either one of those schools, I could see him playing right away. Ohio State and Georgia, he might play early, but it'd be more difficult. We'll see. But if you want to watch a big back who can break down and change direction and do all that stuff, he is an absolute monster. Next up, Cooper Whitten at a Liberty Christian just outside of Dallas. Yes, that is Jason Witten's kid. He's committed to Oklahoma. Jason works up there too. If there was a fit that is better on this top 100 for a player to go play at a school, I'm not sure who it would be. He's a cerebral player, very good tackler, consistent, can do just about anything from the linebacker spot that you could ask a second-level player to do. And make no mistake, Brent Venables' defense is as multiple as it gets. Not just fronts, but how the linebackers blitz, as well as when they fake and kind of go into coverage, etc. I think Whitten will be a pretty good pass defender, which is rare nowadays. And it's one of the reasons I got him in the top 50. Would not surprise me if he walked in and played significant reps at Oklahoma, even though, again, that is a complex scheme. But I think he will have that opportunity. Really, really fine-looking football player. Anthony Sweeney, this one is pretty easy. He is the prototypical defensive end that's already got a little bit of weight to him, 230, 240 range, speed, size, change of direction, big-time player. Texas Tech sent the NIL check, and they recruited him hard. They earned it. Good for them. It's random for a kid from Maryland to go all the way out to the panhandle of Texas, but welcome to recruiting in the year 2026. He will play early. He will play often, and if he started, it really would not surprise me. Next up on the list, Jaquan Snell, safety out of Waxahachie, Texas. That's greater Dallas area, committed to A&M. He's the biggest hitter probably in this class. Definitely a strong safety type in terms of mentality. He's got coverage skills, but Snell has the ability more than anything else to be a run defender and be a guy that will be involved in the screen game. First 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. That is where Snell makes his living. That is not a guy you, by the way, you want to be caught off guard. No fear. He is coming for you. Big time player like that commits early to Aggies. I'm sure that the entire staff were really, really happy, and congrats to them. That, by the way, right now A&M is trending towards having probably the best class in the country. Caden Henderson out of Jesuit High School in Tampa, Florida. Great young man. He is put together like a professional boxer, 6'1", 215, 220, just yoked. He doesn't really know where he's going, though. Like, Florida State was the dream school. They didn't really see eye to eye because of the situation with Norvell, Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Miami. There are a lot of programs that have been involved. I don't know where he's going to end up. He's got several visits lined up, but this could still shift around. Florida State's not going to go anywhere either. Ernie Sims, the former great that played for the Noles, is now the linebacker coach in Tallahassee. He's got a good relationship with him, but he's just concerned about the whole Norvell thing. We'll see how that turns out for Mr. Henderson. Gabriel Osborne Jr., cornerback out of Mustang, Oklahoma. That's on the edge of Oklahoma City. Great program. Their quarterback from last year signed with Florida State, and that's a program that does well on a consistent basis. I would expect that young man to make an impact at just about any program he goes to. As we get closer to the number one player in the country, you're going to see a bunch of corners, and they're all going to have one common theme: length. This is the deepest group of big corners that I've ever seen in a class. Any year that I've covered it, and I've been following recruiting since the early 90s. Like, this is insane. I think that this is probably a year that you could say if Osborne was a year younger or a year older, he might be 2 or 3 spots up on the corner list. I mean, you could still rank him top 5. I wouldn't have any problem with it. I have several corners in front of him because it's just so deep. But he's, in a lot of years, he might be a top 3 corner in the country. The change of direction for a kid that's 6'2" like him is not normal. I am a little surprised that he's not Oklahoma commit or Oklahoma State commit. Usually that state, they go to one of the two. I'll see what happens, just like everybody else. Now I'm a little taken back that we're into almost mid-May and he's not committed to either one. But that's a player that like Miami or anybody else would be very happy to get. We'll see where he goes, but national recruiting list for a kid that, quite honestly, is about as good as any corner in the United States. Jaden Aparicio Bailey, safety, Prattville High School, just on the edge of Montgomery, Alabama. This is a kid that I loved when I saw him the one time I did. Change of direction, the length, and all that same stuff. It's the measurables. It is what it is. There's no reason to hide from that. But more importantly, he's consistent. He's not a guy that's necessarily worried about all the highlights and all that. Kind of does his job. And by the way, while this is my ranking, I will openly admit, when Kirby Smart targets a safety, in particular, for those who don't know, Kirby played safety for the Dogs back in the day in the 90s. That tells me something. This is one of his top targets on the board, period. This is a prime target. He loves this kid from everything that I've heard. If Kirby likes a safety, I like a safety. And his list is insane. Alabama, Clemson, Auburn, you name it, Tennessee, whatever you want. They're all after him. Jaden is going to end up at a big-time program, and I expect him to play early. Is it possible he could even play early at Georgia? Yes. Yes, I think there really is that chance. And finally, Jameer Brown. Big Walnut is a high school. I think it's pretty close to Columbus, if I remember right. And he's committed to Ohio State. He's even got a tattoo on his right arm that says Ohio State on it in red. He's been committed for a couple of years. One of the fastest players in the country. He's a young man that if he decided, you know what? I'm going to give up football. I'm going to go run track. He could do that. And I'm not talking about just because he wants to and just like be a part of the Ohio State team. I'm talking about like go compete at a high level. Very fast. He runs by just about everybody he goes against. One of the fastest players in high school football. And he's a kid that probably will end up around 10-3, I think, if he's not already there. Just like how fluid he is and change of direction to go with it. It's insane watching him run. I've seen him play multiple times. The only thing he has to prove on is just making the big catch. Don't let one go through your fingers every now and then because, like, nobody can really run with him consistently. There aren't many 10-3 corners. So if Jameer just continues on his craft, the sky is absolutely the limit. And the Ohio State Buckeyes are the fortunate party with that. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit. I got a couple of comments in the chat. We'll see what's in there. And a really important factor. Whatever school you read for, we'll talk about this right after the break. But are they doing a good job of retention? Meaning you sign players, whether it's portal, high school, but are you keeping the guys around after they're there and respecting them? That is next, right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Wayfair. Your outdoor space should feel like you. It's one of those spots you keep meaning to fix it up, but never quite get around to it. That's where Wayfair comes into play. They make it easy to find pieces that match the vibe that you want for whatever place you have, and it makes it pretty easy too. It's easy to filter everything you need online and to get the style you want within the price range you want right there on Wayfair. You don't have to worry about anything. You can find something that fits your space. Do it pretty quick. I've used it before, actually, the desk that I'm currently using for this podcast for my computer. I got from Wayfair. Pretty simple. 3 days later, after I ordered it, it was sitting at my doorstep. So it's quick, it's easy, it's simplistic. And whether it's seating outdoor, whether it's decor, whether it's lighting, whether it's pillows, whether it's some kind of deck chair, whatever it is, you can get it done at Wayfair. Get prepped for patio season for way less. Head to wayfair.com to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style and every home. All right, let's talk about a really important issue in today's world of college football. The best rosters are recruited from the high school ranks, and you supplement. You supplement. You get young people that come in and they do well. They don't always hit. There's an injury, guys turn pro, whatever. You supplement from the portal. 8 to 15 guys a year is premium. That means it's a program that's really recruiting at a good level from the high school, prep schools, JUCOs, whatever, to come into your program. But you got to hit a couple guys in the portal, whatever. That's fine. But no matter where you get them from, are you balancing your roster with your general manager, which is maybe the most important spot now in college football? Never thought I would say that. And are you able to do it within the budget that you have? This is where relationship building comes into play. I'm not going to go into specifics of the school, but I know about a commitment that's coming up for a young man at a big-time program. And when I was told his NIL number, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's pretty low. This is a kid that's going to play in the NFL. The coaching staff of the school where he's going sold him on the development, on the academics at the school, at the student body, all of that stuff for far less. He had offers that were bigger. And he chose a different school. So to retain, it's still about relationships. That's the reason you get kids to come. This is the kind of kid that's bought in for the long-term vision. And again, he had offers to go elsewhere. And he's going to a crowded room. But it's a great reminder that these recruits don't really pick schools all that often. That's kind of the secondary thing. They're going to pick a coach and or coaching staff to develop them, to be with a certain group of people. That is a big part of retention. To get them there, it's relationships, and to keep them there is relationships. You know what else it is? Having the right fits. Sometimes it's not a good idea to take a great player. This is my other point for tonight, and this is where I will leave it here, and I'll go into the chat. I don't know how many times I've spoken to somebody that's a college coach over the last 25, 30 years, and they'll talk about a kid. They're like, he's a little rough around the edges. This young man gets out of line. He's not always on time or whatever it may be. Those kinds of personalities can cause rifts within the team too. Fights, getting into disagreements about all kinds of things, they happen. And to that end, you've got to find a way to balance it. It might be the hardest thing to do because, I mean, we're talking about aggressive young men. They're 18 to 23-year-olds on average, and they're physically gifted enough to play major Power 4 football. There's probably going to be some disgruntled individuals at times. Fights happen and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not talking about this at the practice field or at the dinner table. I'm talking about arguing over NIL, arguing about who's the best player, arguing with the coaching staff about why I'm not starting. All those things can create rifts, and it causes issues with retention. So sometimes it's best for a coach, even though it kills them, to not bring in certain players to their program because it can hurt the locker room and it can screw up your depth chart because you didn't just lose that kid. You lost that guy, and the other kid that right behind him you had on your board that may have come, you didn't get that young man either because you took the player that ended up getting in trouble or got booted. Look at Georgia over the last 5 years. That's an incredible program, but they've taken a lot of risks on kids, and that guy's spin out of the program with all the cars and all that stuff. It only takes one or two of those to screw up your roster. Georgia's wide receiver room is really young this year, talented, but they've had a couple of guys that didn't make the best decisions at receiver. They took some chances on guys. Didn't work out. So be careful what you ask for when it comes to bringing in players, because retention is just as important as getting young men to sign with your program. Now let me jump into the chat and see what we got going on in here. Call me Mr. Marcus. What's going on, man? How are you, sir? Hurricane Hicks, Miami is looking at chicken. Yeah, I think about everybody is. Jabarrius Garror, the kid from Mobile, that's a natural pass rusher, man. Miami recruits those kids about as well as anybody. And remember, Mario Cristobal, he's got a history in the state of Alabama. He coached for Saban. He was the O-line coach for a little while, so he knows that state very, very well. Hurricane Hicks, Miami is hunting big game and retaining at a high rate. They are doing a very good job. Absolutely. Swanton Bomb 43. I wonder what school that is. There's several that are doing that. Actually, they're talking about the NIL stuff. Hurricane Hicks. Georgia tends to lowball players. This is a great point. Let me bring up something here that Hurricane brings up. Is it lowball or is it being respectful to the current players? This is a he said, she said conversation. I believe there's a couple ways you can view this, and everybody's got their own opinion. But most importantly here, note the following. If you're going to bring in a guy that's a high dollar, like Jackson Cantwell to Miami, that's a great one. He's so good, it probably didn't cause as much of a rift there. But he's getting paid insane money. Insane. There might be a few guys that aren't real happy about that. It might have caused some few of the guys that left. I don't know. But what if a guy like that comes in and you lose some other really good players? Not saying Miami, but you got to be able to judge that kind of stuff. How do you do that? Older players that have put in time that like they're next up, not only are they being challenged by a young guy, Cantwell's insanely talented. Not only are they getting challenged by a freshman, but when they find out a freshman's making more than them, that can cause problems. Look at Florida State in 2024. We, meaning I run Locked On Seminoles, people in the media, we heard about some of the alleged strife in the locker room. NIL was part of it. Alleged, I don't know all the details. To that end, it can happen anywhere. That was still a fairly talented team that just had weird ebbs and flows. And it started from early on. So that can happen. And just to remind you, this is Hurricane Hicks's point. Georgia tends to lowball players. They won't spend as much as some other schools, but their retention is still very high because of it in some ways. So it's not always a super bad thing, in my opinion. What we got here? Swanton. Programs like Georgia or Notre Dame can and do offer less money, but they are usually upfront about it and tell you what else you're getting and that you need to earn it. Yeah, Alabama's in that pattern right now too. I kind of wonder if Texas, based on this year, is in that pattern. I'm not seeing them do quite as well in recruiting. I wonder if that's part of it, but it's not like Texas isn't super talented. And maybe they decided to go a little more portal, whatever the case may be. But certain schools are the opposite. A&M's paying a ton. Texas Tech is paying a ton. Oregon is paying a ton. Notre Dame's definitely went up the ladder. Miami obviously is one. In certain situations, Tennessee is. Auburn paid a bunch for Myson Johnson Cook. There are circumstances. But Ohio State paid a bunch for DJ Jacobs, arguably the best player in the country, from Blessed Trinity Catholic on the north side of Atlanta. There are circumstances where teams can do it. And I think the strategic idea behind that makes sense. But Georgia really doesn't do it. Like, they didn't offer, from what I'm told at least, a ton of money even for DJ Jacobs. And he's 6'5", 240. And he looks the part as much as any kid that I've ever met. And I'm not kidding, like ever. So if they didn't want to pay up for him and his dad even played at Georgia, they're probably not going to do it. They're going to stick to their guns. And they're going to just kind of go the development route. And as many big-time kids as they get, that's a blessing. But Kirby wants to do it that way. That's his decision, and so be it. With that, thank you very much for checking out the Portal Podcast. I'll do another one of these tomorrow night. We'll be down to 21 all the way through 40. We're getting into the 5-star range, and this is the preliminary. I'll do another one of these towards the end of the year probably and kind of have some fun. But it really is a lot of fun for me to do. I hope you enjoy it as well. Hurricane Hicks, Ohio State outbid everyone by quite a bit. They did. And that's one of the reasons DJ went there. It's not real hard to pick Ohio State either. To that end, everybody have a good one. This has been the Portal Podcast. Please like and subscribe. We will see you again tomorrow. This has been the Portal Podcast.